Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. Kay, Stevie, Nedum and Frank here to answer your questions. We'll get straight to them. Ethan would like to know, Stevie, did any of the guys have stadiums where they just always struggled, like City, who have underperformed and expected goals by almost 8 in 3 games at the new Spurs stadium? So basically, City have not had a good time at the new stadium for Spurs. But did you ever have a stadium where you found that yourself as a player?
Do you know, we always used to struggle at Southampton away. And I don't know.
But then did it get in your head when you'd be going to that ground?
No, because we just always thought we were going to win before we started, but somehow it just never always worked out. I don't know whether, it was always a horrible trip. I mean, you're thinking about in the 80s, it was if you were lucky, it was like a 5.5-hour trip on a Friday. And if you were unlucky, it could be in and up to 8 hours, depending on traffic. So then you're getting up Saturday morning, you get there late, you're not getting your dinner till maybe 8:30 at night, then you're getting up in the morning, then you're playing the game, and it was just a place that we always struggled. It was just really small. It was the old Dell, not the stadium now. It was a really tight pitch. We just somehow, for some reason, struggled.
Frank, what about you? Is there a stadium that you struggled at as a player or a team?
Yes, I won once, and I think drew a couple of times with my 5 years at Chelsea. But the Highbury was pretty much a nightmare for me because the stadium was too narrow. Great atmosphere, fantastic to play against that beautiful team. But I didn't enjoy because the pitch was too narrow. So it was like you were kind of suffocating because you don't have the space that you normally have. So I couldn't find my right path, let's say, when I was playing. I was a little bit tight. Every time I was too tight. And it's maybe because of the team I was playing against, but mainly because of the area I was in.
Yeah, it might well have been the team that you were up against then. Those were the days for Arsenal fans.
Yes.
Nedum, what about you?
So while I was at City, it had to be Anfield. Up until last season where they won. Before that, the last win for City at Anfield was in 2003, I believe. So that was a real struggle. But for me personally, the place, which I hate having to say this, but it was playing against Stoke City at the Britannia Stadium. That place was horrible. Like, as soon as you arrive, there's always the wind howling in. You're seeing long throw-ins, long balls. You might finish the game with more headers than passes. And I think I drew 1 game there in my career, and the rest of the time I lost. I hated going there.
So you couldn't put it on a cold, wet night in Stoke?
Well, not in the midweek, no. But it is one of those things, It's c'est la vie.
Stevie's nodding away.
Do you know, Nedum, I remember going and playing there. And as you're travelling on the bus, you're thinking about every time you've been there, there's been a wind and everything else. And you think, you know what, maybe there's just not going to be a wind today. And so you get there, you get off the bus, and you walk out on the field, and all the papers and all the straggly bits are all swirling around, and you're like, oh no, here we go again. Just unbelievable. Every single time, a swirling wind, nightmare.
All right, Vinayak says, why do many pundits back in England, and even Stevie, still not consider Lukaku on equal footing to Kane, even when Lukaku has won more trophies at club level?
You can't argue that Lukaku scores goals, but you can argue that he's not. He's not. How do I put this without sounding horrible? He misses opportunities in big games that would make that could have made a difference. I'm talking about, Inter Milan not qualifying for the Champions League or through the group. He had a great chance with 2 minutes to go in their final game to put them through and missed it. Belgium in the Euros recently had a fantastic chance. I'm thinking to myself, if that chance fell to plenty of strikers, Gerd Muller, Van Basten, Romario.
But Harry Kane's also had his chances in big games as well, Steve.
Well, I'd love you to remind me and show me, because I can't remember them.
Okay, so like big one, you're talking about that moment that's going to change the whole thing.
I would stick up for Harry Kane and say that he has to be given, or his teammates have to make opportunities for him, or a opportunity for us to say it's his fault they didn't win a cup.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at.
What do you think about what Stevie just said, Nedum?
It's interesting. I think this season, Lukaku will score more goals than Kane, and in the Premier League. And I also think that maybe Lukaku will be viewed differently if he would have been at one club throughout his career, kind of like Kane has been. But because he's been around to a few places and so on, you don't really revere him as being that guy in that place. But if he was, I think he'd have the same sort of image as Kane. And I think ultimately for the two of them, you know, like Lukaku scored over 200 goals in his career so far, and he's still in his 20s. He's a fantastic player, and I think he's exactly what Chelsea need. And it wouldn't surprise me, even though, you know, I had to rank teams in the top 4 recently, and I put Chelsea in 4th, which people let me know about, especially Chelsea fans. It wouldn't surprise me if they ended up winning a couple of trophies this year, because he's the missing piece to their team at this moment in time, but well, we shall see.
That's perfect what you just say there, because Frank, the next question is for you, and it's about that.
Jump in there.
Go on then.
Can I jump in there? Just on Lukaku. Lukaku, as many goals as he scored, would have had a whole lot more. Because the one thing Lukaku does is he hits the keeper too often. So as many goals as he scored, he probably should have a whole lot more. Because a lot of the time he's hitting goalkeepers. Maybe
the best is yet to come, Stevie.
You might be right, Nedum's right, he's still young, so you could be right.
Sadar Amar Iqbal says, Frank, how happy are you with the performance of Chelsea? Is there any missing piece in the team, or are they all set?
Yes, I'm very happy with what I see right now, you know, the Super Cup, the first game. The US are very happy because Pulisic just scored. That was that, okay. But yeah, I think the only one piece missing is, of course, Lukaku at front. I think we have a false judgment. To go back to the question, the former question, I think we have a false judgment on Lukaku because we saw him playing in England and struggling and missing lots of goals. But supposedly, people who followed the calcio, the Serie A, sorry, and I didn't, found lots of improvements on Lukaku finishing. So I want to be persuaded that he evolved, but I'm pretty sure he's the piece they need. He scored so many goals for Inter that I have no doubt that he's going to score many goals for Chelsea. And I agree with Nedum. I think he might score more goals than Harry Kane.
Okay. Well, we'll be reminding you all of it. Nooralai says, Frank, should Chelsea sign Koundé considering the emergence of Chalobah?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I almost had tears in my eyes, you know, when I saw him scoring and the celebration. That was absolutely fantastic. He had a very good Super Cup final game. Then he had a very good game against Crystal Palace yesterday. I'm very fan of that player, and I have doubts about the fact that Chelsea will need another defender because they already have lots of defenders, and Chalobah is already one on top of the one we were thinking of. So, what the point? I would say, even if I always say that I already said that Koundé is a fantastic player and he should be playing for Chelsea, but you know, you cannot make everybody's happy. So what the point to have Chalobah, I don't know, Zuma, maybe Christensen or Rudiger or maybe Thiago Silva on the bench? You will have to make choices. It's only 2 seats for 5, maybe 6 if Koundé comes. And then maybe forgot somebody else. So it's too much, too many. So no, if Chalobah goes on like that, of course not. They don't need it. They don't need Koundé.
What do you think, Nedum?
This is it's such a tough one. You know, with teams, they feel like they need to continually appear to be making progress through investment and stuff like that. Because Chalobah, for as good as he is now, you know, you get the feeling that there's plenty more to come. So sometimes when you buy in that talent, you feel like the current product is better than say what you're getting elsewhere. But I don't know. I'm with Frank. I like Chalobah. I hope he gets the opportunity. And even though I'm not a Chelsea fan, seeing his reaction to his goal yesterday, you know, you can't help but feel that. So I hope he gets more opportunities. And yeah, if somebody comes in and he misses those, you know, it'd be a shame. But yeah, I think I'm on Team Chalobah for this one.
Yeah, very nice scenes yesterday. Mr. Calcio guy says, Stevie, how many goals do you predict Tammy will score for Roma now that Tammy Abraham is going to Roma?
Oh,
Under Jose Mourinho.
well, that's a tough one because I don't think Tammy Abraham's yet is a bona fide centre forward in the Premier League, which is why Chelsea are not keeping him. But then if you look at the way Mourinho in his last 2 or 3 jobs has his side playing, as a centre forward you're thinking, wow, it seems like I'm going to have to do a lot more work than what I want to do or I'm used to doing. You know, if you're a centre forward, well, I wasn't a centre forward, but I'm assuming centre forwards want to be up that half of the field getting opportunities. I'm not so sure in Mourinho's recent past that he's all about playing the game up that end of the field. It seems to be he's asking his strikers to do an awful lot of defending way back towards the halfway line. So I think this is a tough one to choose.
Okay, under or over 10?
Over. Come on. Come on, Stevie.
Yeah, I'll say over.
Got to hit the
Okay,
over.
over
Yeah,
for
I'll say
Stevie,
over,
for
yes.
Nedum then obviously, and Frank, we'll just get you comment on that. Under or over 10 goals for Tammy Abraham at Roma?
I think Stevie really analyzed it very well. That depends on what Mourinho will ask to Tammy. But I want to wish him more than 10 goals because he's going to be judged very hardly if he doesn't score more than 10 goals and plays for Roma. So yeah, I really like the players and I think he can improve his game. He will have to work hard under Mourinho, but hopefully he's going to be served and score more than 10 goals.
Nedum, you were confident though that it's going to be more than 10?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, he's got massive boots to fill in, Dzeko leaving, but you know, I think he can find a way. Having played against him a couple of times, I think he's a good finisher. And even though he's not established in the Premier League as such for Chelsea, you know, in the past we've seen him do well for, I think it was Aston Villa when he went on loan there. So he's somebody that's hungry to play, and the managing Jose Mourinho, from what I gather, wants to have him in that team. And even though Jose Mourinho's sides historically don't play the nicest sort of football, I think he will gain opportunities. And he's athletic, he's dynamic, he's a good finisher, and he's got good footballing IQ. So 10 for me, looking at him in Syria, I think it's more than possible. So I'm going to say comfortably over the 10.
Nice, and we wish him all the best, obviously, at Roma too. Thanks so much for joining us on the latest edition of Extra Time. Thanks for being with us. ESPN FC is always available 24 hours a day, wherever you're watching it, because you can catch it on YouTube and all the best bits, but 7 days a week for sure.
Oh, they're good bits, is it?
When you're on it.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.